Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the JMOR Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Hey guys, it is and the host of the JMOR Tech Talk Show. It is so great to be with you guys. Today is Friday, December 30th, 2022, and I don't know what happened to 2022. The entire year is gone. We've got 2023 coming up. Some great news. We've got some great guests coming up next year. Marcus Hart, who has been my co-host for a long time, will be returning to the show. We're told sometime late January, early February. So we're excited about that. I know many of you have missed him. I definitely have missed him on the show. And we've got lots of great stuff to share with you. So before I get into today's show, I want to just let you know that a lot of things that you see on our show are for a purpose. And that purpose is to help you become a better version of yourself and help others become better versions of themselves. If you're looking to become a guest on the JMOR Tech Talk Show, you can apply at jmor.com. Click on Reach Out Today and apply. We're not looking for people that are going to sell a product or a service. It's okay if you sell a product or service, but when you're on the show, you're here to give value to me and to my viewers. That is key. This is why we get several hundred people a week that apply to be guests. Only a couple get considered. All right. So fireworks. The end of the year, it's a great time. People, want to have fireworks. But the question is that safe? And so, according to, consumer safety, in 2021, there were 1,500 injuries from firecrackers. And do you know there were 1,100 injuries from sparklers? So you should never allow children to play with or ignite fireworks, including sparklers. So why are sparklers so dangerous? I mean, I played with a sparkler when I was a kid, but the thing is this, it's not having a sparkler, it's having a mentality. So whenever we got sparklers, it was usually 4th of July or our birthday or some other holiday. Sometimes they were put on cakes. So whenever they were lit by an adult, we were always told to go away somewhere far away from everyone else, play with your sparkler in the air, okay? Don't touch anything like trees or don't touch yourself with it, but hold it out in the air. And when you do that, you're going to notice this cool stream of light from the sparkler. Sparklers can get over 2,000 degrees, and that can singe your skin. So you can see why sparklers are a danger. Always make sure fireworks, the type you're using, are legal in the area before buying or using them. We'll talk a little more about that in a second. Keep a bucket of water or a garden hose handy in case of a fire or an unexpected mishaps. Light fireworks one at a time and move the blank back quickly. Never try to relight or pick up a firecracker. Never use fireworks while impaired by alcohol or drugs of any kind. Now, most times, people will use fireworks on 4th of July. Did you know that 32% of injuries were burns? That's pretty incredible. 14% of the injuries were to the eyes, 21% were to the head, face, and ears, and 31% were to the head and fingers, and 34% were to others like legs, trunk, and other areas of the body. And this is according to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission in a report that was published in 2021. So that's the 2021 report. They haven't gathered all the data in 2022, but I'm sure it's not great. So there's a spike in firework injuries over the last 15 years. That's a 25% increase in firework injuries between 2006 and 2021. You know it's going to be bad next year. Did you know that 11,500 people were rushed to the emergency room in 2021? Did you know that in 2018, 6 people died? In 2019, 20 people died. In 2020, during the pandemic lockdown, there were 26 deaths from fireworks. And in 2021, there were 9 deaths. So you might say, oh, gee, we're doing better. Well, I wouldn't say we're doing better because we went 6, 20, 26, 9. It might get worse. We don't know. But still, fireworks are a problem, okay? An estimated 8,500 firework-related injuries, or 74% of the total estimated fireworks-related injuries in 2021, occurring during the first month between June 18th and July 18th. I mean, just those emergency room visits of 11,500. I mean, that is pretty serious. So the question you might be asking yourself are let's talk about sparklers first. Are sparklers legal in New Jersey? So the law created a special quote unquote exemption. And that exemption was for certain types of devices, keeping out all the other fireworks and making them illegal. So the current law permits devices such as handheld sparklers and ground-based sparklers and novelty items, including party poppers and snappers, to be considered legal. So aerial fireworks, such as firecrackers, bottle rockets, Roman candles, and similar devices, remain illegal in New Jersey. And the state law also restricts the sale of sparklers to those only having to be over the age of 16 because of that burn condition that we're all concerned about. So how about in Florida? So there are some novelties that are legal all year round in Florida, including things like sparklers and party poppers. However, anything that flies in the air and explodes or makes a particular audible sound, because it also can cause damage to your hearing and permanent loss, will likely be considered legal on 3 days. So that's interesting. I mean, that kind of blows my mind. So consumer fireworks, according to Florida laws, are firecrackers, bottle rockets, Roman candles, aerial fireworks, and fountains. So when are fireworks legal in Florida? Well, basically, in 2020, Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law that allowed Floridians to light off fireworks on 3 holidays in Florida: 4th of July, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day. Let me say those again. That is 4th of July, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day. On these 3 holidays only, you can light up as many Roman candles and consumer legal area fireworks as you'd like, but you may still want to proceed with caution to minimize the risk of personal injury. There are some novelty fireworks that are available all year round in Florida. So it's best to understand what your specific state has, because the laws, ladies and gentlemen, from Florida to New Jersey are really quite different. Really, really different. So there's a new trend that is emerging, and that trend is this: drones replacing fireworks. Now you might say to me, John, what are you talking about? Like, that sounds like that actually sounds, I mean, that sounds nuts. So imagine this: drones being carefully choreographed and being deployed so they could create a light show. Now, of course, there's additional options like whether you want your drone to have a safe payload drop of maybe confetti or some other safe item. Maybe you want it to drop smoke or have a laser light show or things like that. That's all possible. And so, how does all this work? Well, first of all, I want to let you know that drone fireworks, or the, let's say, the replacement of the regular fireworks to what they're going to call drone fireworks, is really not fireworks at all. It's really a laser light show. And so they use a very specialized software that is very similar to video editing software, which will allow you to put what you want, choreograph the way you want it to be, and then the software sends out the appropriate signals to the correct drones in certain groups. Pretty cool, right? So you might be asking the question of, how does a show work? Well, first of all, it's not AI powered. All the drones are not self aware, and they know where they are strictly by the commands they're being sent, no other way. And the specific commands sent to them, they can't deviate from. So the process of creating a show for drones, it's not quite that easy. It takes a lot of time. The paths have to be synchronized, and there's a lot more that goes into this. So, are drones going to replace fireworks? Fireworks shows are increasingly criticized for the negative environmental impact, the noise pollution, the damage to your ears, pollution, and other wastes. They're also causing tremendous concerns to military veterans who experience post traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. And in many locations, firework displays have been banned altogether due to increased risks of wildfires. So that might be a reason, but why are we not seeing more drone firework type shows? Well, that's a great question. And that comes down to something pretty interesting: high cost, need for regulatory approval. We know how the FAA is, expensive and limited, labor intensive, lack of efficient show design tools. There's not a lot out there. And the safety requirements, making sure that the flight paths are well away from people, and that things like there are redundancy radios so that if one radio goes down, the whole show isn't a loss, but also somebody's life is not put at risk. So I think these are things that we have to understand when we think about a drone show. How much does it cost? Well, a typical small firework display can start at $2,000 and can range up to $5,000 or $10,000. The best way to think about this is if you're doing it in quantity, they can range anywhere from $350 to $900 per drone. So let's assume you get the lowest price, and let's say you do a nice light show of maybe 50 drones. You're looking at $17,500. So, of course, the show design complexity will affect this. Any airspace authorizations and permits and regulatory compliance that has to be obtained, shipping, logistics, crew travel, and any accommodations. But you know what's good about drone type fireworks? They can be tested and they can be reused over and over again. In fact, one of the companies that does this says that their minimum show is just about $20,000, because there is a lot that goes into this. And so now that there's not a lot of software out there, I think that definitely will change. And whether you want those other payloads on there, like confetti or things like that, each drone, is basically one part in the show. You know what drone firework replacement is like? You've ever been to a Super Bowl game, or you've ever been to a crowd and they have a sign, like maybe it's a pep rally, and it might say something like, go team, or it might say something like, it may be something very simple like welcome home, right? So they have everybody in the right position. Now, I'm not just talking about having a W and E. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking where there might be 30 or 40 students that might represent the letter W, and for E in each letter representative, respectively. But The way that works is you get all these people together and you kind of give them numbers. You say, if you're a number, if it, all the number this, get this letter, right? Or you can have people count off in, let's say, you know, that to make the letter H, let's say it's going to take X people. So you might say that everyone from 1 to 100 should grab an H. Pretty easy, right? And you can orchestrate it that way. And then when certain beats of the music happen, well, then you have your magic, or you have your drone. In this case, I'll call it the manual drone, because it's just basically like a flip chart or holding a sign. And that might seem very simple, but you don't realize the amount of effort that has to go into doing that, and all the practice. With drones, they do everything on the computer, and maybe they'll do one test flight. There isn't a lot of practice that has to go into it. So, how many drones do you need for a show? Um, so they have developed a Guinness World Record for the largest number of drones currently being held by Intel, with 2,066 simultaneous airborne drones in performance. That's pretty amazing, with some pretty astounding results. But it doesn't take thousands of drones to create compelling content. You could do it with 10 or 5, right? So it depends on what you're trying to do. One reason why early drone shows are focusing on large numbers is that the drones were not very bright and did not accurately hold positions. We are getting better with technology. They're being able to last longer. Their lights are they're using are better, and the content design for the drones now can fill a volume of space to illuminate. And this is why they had required so many drones. Rather than just drawing a straight line with an individual drone, a rectangle was drawn and filled with drones. So, it's very interesting. The number of drones required depends on exactly what you're trying to achieve: complex logos, positioning, effects, etc. The more intricate and elaborate the shape, the more drones you're going to need. And of course, the more effects. And so, the more you have, the more you can imagine your costs will go up. And of course, it's going to be proportionate to the audience size. If you have an audience size that's only 50 people, you won't need that many drones. If you have an audience that's going to be like 5 or 10,000, well, you're going to need some more drones. That said, it doesn't take a large number of drones. In fact, for a small event, as I was saying, you can have 5, 10, or the going number now for most type town events is going to be 50 drones. So, as I was saying to you guys before, 50 drones, and you take 50 drones and you basically pay for that deployment, you're looking at $17,000. But you have to realize there's other costs too. Like, there can be logistical costs that are not included in that. So it's really important to understand your budget. Are drone shows safe? Yeah. If the professional teams are hired and the right permits are obtained, absolutely. But everyone out there is not operating the way they should be. In order to use a drone to make money in a business, you have to be licensed. You also have to know where you can fly and not fly, and you also have to use high quality drones, not the $1.99. And there isn't a $1.99 drone, but you know what I'm saying. You don't want the drone that you're going to buy for $99. So compliance with the FAA regulations and the use of commercial pilots and checklists is essential. It's not a luxury, it's essential. And the culture of safety and to contribute for safe and a successful show is really important to have a safe and elaborate and great show. Where are we going next? Early drone shows will consist of a series of simple graphics that will transition from one to another, much like a marching band. Improved design and tools and control will allow software, and newer software will come out, and there'll be more competitors, and drone shows will become even more impressive as designers push the boundaries. So we are just at the beginning of launching this rocket, of getting on this ride. But this is a huge potential for a lot of companies that want to get into this space. So definitely a lot to share with you. And I hope if any of you guys are in that space, definitely reach out to us. We would love to talk to some drone pilots and hear firsthand what it takes to put on a show, the time, the efforts, and the true costs. All right, everyone, let's get on to our next topic. So, Google's up on the map again. Yeah, Google, oh boy. Google, YouTube, content providers must face the U.S. children's privacy lawsuit. What's this all about, John? Well, Google thinks because they have so much money, they can do whatever they want. But on December 28th, a U.S. appeal court revived a lawsuit accusing Alphabet Inc., which is a subsidiary of Google, and some other companies of violating the privacy of children under the 13 law by tracking their YouTube activity without parental consent in order to send them targeted advertising. Now, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Seattle said Congress did not intend to preempt state law-based privacy claims by adopting the Federal Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPA. The law gives the Federal Trade Commission and state attorney generals, but not private plaintiffs, the authority to regulate the online collection of personal data about children under age 13. The lawsuit alleged that Google's data collection violated similar state laws and that YouTube's content providers such as Hasbro, Mattel, the Cartoon Network, and DreamWorks Animations mysteriously lured children to their channels, knowing they would be tracked. That's pretty bad. In 2021, the U.S. District Judge Beth Labson in San Francisco dismissed the lawsuit, saying the federal privacy law preempted the plaintiff's claims under California, Colorado, Indiana, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Tennessee law. But in Wednesday's 3-0 decision, Circuit Judge Margaret McKeown said the federal law's wording made it nonsensical to assume Congress intended to bar the plaintiffs from invoking state law targeting the same alleged misconduct. So I think what happens, ladies and gentlemen, is nobody really cares until it causes a problem, until it poses a threat, until people see how much money is being exploited. It's not been about the kids. It's not been about their safety. It's that when people are making so much money off it and they see it's a violation, now they want to go after it. If they weren't making any money, well, they wouldn't have cared so much. But that's really how our world operates. I'm not in agreement with that, but that is how a lot of our world operates. We have been talking, ladies and gentlemen, for a very long time about TikTok. Was the U.S. going to ban TikTok? Well, good news. The U.S. Bans TikTok from government devices. It was speculated about a month ago, but now it is actually a reality. TikTok has been officially banned from electronic devices managed by the U.S. House of Representatives, according to the internal notice sent to the House staff. Users to install short-form video app on any House mobile device will be asked to remove the software, according to the notice, which was provided to CNN by the Office of the Chief Administrative Officer. So the notice identifies that TikTok is, quote unquote, a high risk to users due to a numerous amount of security risks. This is a problem. The U.S. government is soon expected to ban TikTok, and like I said, this happened, including the $1.7 trillion omnibus bill awaiting President Joe Biden's signature. So we didn't know what was going to happen. It looks like the government is concerned about what TikTok is doing and might be exploiting not only them, but maybe the American people. Yeah, I think that is definitely a challenge. I mean, a real challenge. But more on TikTok. TikTok parent company admits people from the U.S., including some reporters, were being tracked. That, ladies and gentlemen, is, I'm going to say, that's ruthless. So ByteDance says the data and that these people have been fired. But is this enough? And would TikTok's parent company ByteDance have really stepped in and did something if they weren't under fire to do something? Is it that main reason, or did they really care? I have to say to you that I don't think they cared. I think it's because we put a microscope under them, and that's why they started to come clean. And that's why they realized that if they don't come clean, they might be subject to a lot of high unnecessary fines. So we'll have to keep an eye on TikTok and what they're doing. But you guys all know we can't trust them. And so it's just interesting to know what's going on. And I'll say the same thing I'm going to say to you. I've said many times. If you put something on social media, don't put things out there that you don't want out there. So what you put out there should not be confidential, should not be private, should not be personal of a nature that if it got into the wrong hands, it could potentially cause people to stalk you, people to exploit you, and all crazy things. Okay? I believe that ByteDance is just trying to bite their tongue. And they are trying to stay below the limelight because they know that they're wrong. And I feel just another step or two could permanently get that application banned from the United States of America. I mean, if the government bans it, now I know we're talking about freedom of speech and things like this, but if it's an issue for national security, and there had been speculation that TikTok might grab information off your phone that hasn't been proven, even though they say you don't allow it, do they? We don't know that yet. But I feel that if just one more or another step or two gets in the wrong direction and they get their hand caught in the cookie jar, I think the next step is they're going to be banned. This may not happen this year. It could happen a few years later. But I just feel if they don't change their ways, there isn't going to be a TikTok anymore. So I think they've really got to shape up, or the US is going to ship them out. All right. No pun intended there, ladies and gentlemen. So when we're thinking about innovations, Google, as much as we love Google and they brought us things, and they were the forerunners for one of the primary search engines after the text-based search engines that came from the labs, Google is not always forthright with us. Okay. And we have to give credit to a lot of the AI boom to Google, which created much of the foundational technology. But this year, Google kept most of its AI experiments private. But they got one-upped by OpenAI this year, as well as the makers of Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, which released public-facing products that allowed millions of people to experience generative AI for themselves. See, Facebook and also Google, they design things not to help you or I. They design things because they want to capitalize, monopolize on people, and then charge a lot of money for it. So the effects of generative AI are still not quite known. Some people argue that these apps will destroy millions of jobs. Other people say that they'll be a real boon to human creativity. But whether you're for AI as an optimist or a pessimist, this year's advances mean that we no longer are debating about theoretical costs and benefits. The tools have arrived, and we now can get to decide how to use them. So the question is, will Facebook and Google be so crypto in the way, I don't mean cryptocurrency, I mean crypto in the way that they don't share anything? I think by us having technology that is open and people can be part of, like the Chat GPT, the DALL-E2, the system that lets you create digital images by describing what you want to see, and the GPT-3, that's the GPT-3 with mind-boggling fluency natural language system. So I think right now the tools are out there. So Google definitely did give us a push, and I will give them credit for that. However, I believe that what Google does doesn't do it for the greater good of everybody. And this is not just Google, this is everyone out there. There's all these big social companies. I believe that they do this. I mean, I'm talking about Twitter, I'm talking about Instagram, Facebook. Uh, Not really sure about LinkedIn because, LinkedIn, I'm not sure if you guys know, but LinkedIn was bought out by Microsoft and they kind of try to keep that under wraps. LinkedIn kind of tries to stay the status quo. They really try not to buck things. But when companies like these big names and now Amazon getting into the mix with now trying to create their own sportscasting, I mean, when is enough enough? Like, how many things can we let people get involved in? And when is it going to be seen as a monopoly? Or are they just going to cleverly disguise things because they have so much money and they can create other companies and have them be like drop companies or shell companies that they just filter money through, not illegally, but they keep the entity known as another company. They get investors. People don't know until a long time down the road that they're actually owned by the same people we're trying to keep the monopoly away from. So I know, ladies and gentlemen, that technology is a tool. You guys all know this. And technology itself is not good. It's not bad. In fact, Google was the one many years ago that said they don't even trust themselves. Now, that's pretty interesting. Google said many years ago, I remember being at a convention in New York, we don't trust ourselves, which is why we came up with a chip that goes on the board. And if we don't see the chip, we don't communicate. So their own software doesn't trust themselves. That's a little strange. A little strange, if you ask me. But we'll keep an eye on these guys in 2023. Don't you worry. All right. So imagine putting a device on a piece of equipment. Could be a bike, could be tools, could be a trailer, RV. It could even be an expensive textbook, maybe a boat. And imagine that device is able to be tracked, which can happen today. But now let's presume that bad actors get after that data. And now they can potentially steal or affect where that particular, let's say, path is going. Now, you might say, John, this is a little far fetched. I'm here to tell you it's not far fetched. I'm here to tell you that in our world today, we have people that are doing this. We have people that have minds that think it's okay to do this. And Apple has responded with a firmware update to prevent stalking. This is very, very hot. So they use something called AirTag, and it lets users track personal items like their keys, wallet, purse, and also bigger things, backpacks, luggage, and that can be used in the through the Find My app. Now, AirTag's test last April was pretty successful, and they also wrote back that there were many stories of AirTags being instrumental in helping people connect with things of value that they might have lost. So AirTag and the Find My app, a customer who maybe lost his wallet on the subway was able to track it down at a station across town, and it was really very beneficial. AirTag was designed to help people locate their personal belongings, not to track people or another person's property. And doing that would be against the terms and it would be malicious. So, unwanted tracking has long been a problem in our society. And it looks like the people at Apple responded, which I'm happy to hear. So this was a flaw in the design, and this is why the Find My network is built with privacy in mind. So users end-to-end encryption, and why they innovated the first ever proactive system to now alert you of unwanted tracking. They're hoping that this will start an industry trend for others to also provide this sort of proactive warning. So when they become aware that individuals can receive unwanted tracking alerts for non-valid reasons, such as when borrowing someone's keys with an AirTag attached, or when traveling in a car with a family member's AirPod left inside. We also see reports of bad actors misusing their AirTag for malicious criminal purposes. So Apple has been working very closely with various safety groups and law enforcement agencies to come up with this. And so every AirTag has a unique serial number, and paired AirTags are associated with an Apple ID. Apple can provide the paired account details in response to a subpoena. So, what this means is that your AirTag, okay, can now be tracked, but now they're getting a little more serious with how they're being associated. So, let's just say hypothetically, you bought an AirTag and you decide to put it on a person. And now that person is suddenly being tracked. That's stalking. And so advancements coming to AirTag are the following: new privacy warnings during the AirTag setup. In incoming software updates, every user setting up the AirTag for the first time will see a message that clearly states that AirTag is meant to track their own belongings, that using AirTag to track people without consent is a crime in many regions around the world, and that AirTag is designed to be detected by victims, and law enforcement can request identifying information about the owner of the AirTag. So, if you're going to an airport and you suddenly have an AirTag, let's say, on you or in your bag, and it's not your AirTag, that might raise some concerns. Not so much that you'll be in trouble, but someone else will be, because they'll be able to track that AirTag back to someone's Apple ID. So, addressing alert issues for AirPods, and iPods. They've heard users who have reported receiving an unknown accessory detected alert, and confirm this alert will not display if the AirTag is detected near you. Only AirPod third generations basically were having this issue. And in the same software update, we'll be updating alert users of indicating AirPods have been traveling instead of unknown accessories. So this is one interesting thing that they're doing. So you're going to be able to know that there is a device around you. So I think that's pretty cool. And so investigating how this will work. So if one of those devices is around you and you have the device, well, your device is going to alert you that something could be tracking you, because you're probably going to want to know that the device was placed there. So I think that's a great thing. You can even turn AirTag's sound on. Currently, iOS users will receive an unwanted tracking alert and can play a sound to help them find the unknown AirTag. And they'll be adjusting the tone sequence to use more of the loudest tones. So, for example, whatever you're doing, for whatever reason, you now can have peace of mind that someone is attempting to track you. You see, a lot of times this can happen because, I'm going to say, maybe it could be ex boyfriend, ex girlfriend. It could be uh, partner in a marriage. And although you don't think this is something that is wrong, it is. If you don't have somebody's permission to track them, that is a serious, I mean, a really serious, serious problem. Very, very serious problem. So serious, ladies and gentlemen, that I believe it can really shed some shed some light. I'm talking about big thing. Imagine going somewhere, and all of a sudden you're at the airport, and you see what's going on. And by now, you getting this notice that you're being tracked. How's that going to make you feel? First, you're going to wonder who the heck that is. And again, they can get subpoenaed and things like that. So I think there's a lot of benefit there. And now that we know this, hopefully this encourages people not to track others. Again, it is not meant to track people unless they have permission. It is meant to track things. That's what it is about. That's what it's about, ladies and gentlemen. About tracking things, belongings, keys, wallet. Could be clothing, could be a boat, but not a person. All right. So those are some great enhancements, and I definitely want to give a hats off to Apple for doing something in the safety realm. I don't give Apple a kudos all the time, but I definitely want to give them a heads up because this is something that is so vital, ladies and gentlemen, that I think could really affect your life. I mean, now that you know this is out there, I hope this will get people to not even think about doing this because stalking is illegal. Okay. And I figure it's important to share this. We've had a great expert on our show. He is amazing. He's been on several times before. And Dr. Michael Nucitelli, he's an amazing guy. And I'm sure he'll be on our show again this year. We'll probably bring him on more about technology with stalking and things like that. But what is stalking? So stalking is a pattern of repeated and unwanted attention, harassment, contact, or any other course of conduct directed at a specific person that would cause a reasonable person to feel fear. This, according to the Department of Justice, I quote. Similar to crimes of sexual violence, stalking is about power and control. So if, let's just say, a neighbor contacts you and you tell them not to contact you, they contact you again, but you don't feel fear, well, that's not stalking, okay? If they keep contacting you and they're after something, well, then you might feel fear, okay? If you do feel fear, I encourage you to go to your local law enforcement and file a report. And if it is something about fear of your life, then they'll issue a temporary restraining order. So, not something to be fooled around with, and something that I hope people out there listening, and if they're already bad actors listening to our show, I hope that you'll curb your ways and know that technology is changing to get people that are out to hurt each other. I've told you before, technology is here to help each other and improve their lives. It's not there to harm them. It's not there to make people fearful. It's there to give us peace of mind. People can use technology for good. People can use technology for bad. My question is, how are you choosing to use your technology? So if you have one of the new air tags, make sure that you definitely update. Basically, so Apple personal doesn't offer a way to update AirTag, but you can check your firmware number in the item section of the Find My app. So generally, what you're able to do is you can obviously look at it, for example, like a 1.0 or things like that. So if you're still asking me how to update your AirTag, and so you can open the Find My app, tap the items tab, select your AirTag in the list of items, tap the name of your AirTag and the serial number, and the firmware version will appear. So what you'll notice with AirTags is they have something called last seen message. AirTags don't actively broadcast their location directly to your phone. Their specific whereabouts are only updated when another device using the Find My network passes within proximity of them. Okay? So what to do if you have an old AirTag um, firmware. Um, so how to get the latest one? So I guess the question is right now. Um, so the firmware update has started gradually, uh, but when you update the software app for Apple's item tracker, it's can be easy and it can be hard. So you don't have to jump through hoops, but you just have to understand the control process. So AirTags update is a little bit of a mystery. Many people like to make sure their gear is always up to date. Nothing wrong with that. The previous AirTag firmware was in November of 2022. It was 2.0.24, and the new version is 2.0.36. And so basically, starting around December 16th, Apple started releasing these updates. Only 25% of the trackers can install the new version now, but it will be able to be installed on them very, very soon. Unfortunately, there's no way to know what was changed in the 203S because Apple doesn't make release notes available for this type of update. So you can't manually start a firmware update on AirTag. I'm sorry to tell you that. All you can do is put the tracker near the iPhone it's paired with and wait. Keep in mind that AirTags on items like luggage that are in storage, you'll need to put them near your iPhone long enough to install the new firmware, which will happen automatically. So just saying, if you put stuff on things that have been in the storage compartment, they may not readily communicate with you until they have updated. How to check on the AirTag firmware updates? One more time, open the Find My application on the iPhone or the iPad. Go to the Items tab. Tap on the AirTag in the list of items. Here's the tricky part. Tap on the battery icon for the AirTag. If it doesn't show with you, um, that will display the AirTag serial number and the firmware version. So again, tap on the battery icon for the AirTag. If that's not showing, tap on with you now, the piece that you can see, and then that will display the actual serial number and the firmware version. So Apple's tracker debuted running in 1.0.225, but there have been quite a few firmware updates from then. And so I think what you'll at least appreciate with the AirTag is that it was meant to keep us safe as individuals. It was never meant to be a tool to facilitate stalking. All right. So I've got one more topic to talk to you guys about today. And this is one I think you guys are going to really appreciate. It's the 5 goals, I should say, of actually, I've said it, of goal setting. So 5 P's of goal setting. So first of all, if you have a dream, it's not a goal yet. If you have a dream and you schedule it, then it becomes a goal. So let's talk about the 5 P's of goal setting before we wrap up this last show of the year. You need to have passion. And I don't mean passion from your mind. I mean passion from your heart. Passion that you can feel with every single cell and muscle and bone in your body. You got to be persistent. You've got to plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Okay? People and positivity. That is so key. Now, you might say, John, but it's not working. It's not working. It's not working. I get it. It's not working. But having that attitude of being positive will allow you to open the doors when those opportunities come before you. I'm going to end on a great note by a very amazing coach. And he said something, I'm not sure if you guys know this, great moments are born from great opportunity. That was Herb Brooks' speech. And I'm going to read what he said. I'll quote, great moments are born from great opportunity. That's what you have here tonight, boys. That's what you've earned here tonight. One game. If you play them 10 times, they might win 9. But not tonight. Their time is done. Pretty impressive, powerful speech. So, in order for you to celebrate those great moments, you've got to be open to those opportunities. Not every opportunity is going to be a great moment, but start embracing great opportunities and you'll start seeing those great moments. Happy, healthy New Year to everyone. Happy, healthy holidays. Make sure that you definitely write down your goals and let's make 2023 your best year ever. And I can't wait, ladies and gentlemen, to see you guys next year with a whole new set of episodes for the JMOR Tech Talk Show. Happy, healthy New Year. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, don't drink and drive. Be safe. Drink responsibly. Have fun. Create traditions. If you don't have one now, go ahead and create some because they connect us. They help us to move up the pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They connect our family. They give us purpose. They give us the feeling of belonging to a unit, to a family, to a group. Happy New Year, everyone. Take care.